welcome. I am Sterling, and today we'll be playing Timberborn. So where are we at? Taking from the Beaver District. We have taken their lumber production. We have taken their industry, both material and food production, and we have taken their farms. And all they've got left is water production. And in this episode, we'll be taking that too. So sit back, grab a cold one, and let's get started. Right, so in this episode, as I said, we're going to be taking away all their water production. And it's going to be situated here. I've got some big plans for this area. It's not just going to be water production that's here. I want to build a little bit of a, let's say, a monument, so to speak. But I'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later, because first we must extend the dam into this area. But even before we can start, there's a few things that we must add first. We must clear the area and blow a channel for the tubeway and power shaft, then add said power shaft, tubeways, and tubeway station. And then we can go and top it off by adding charging stations. We'll next need a hauler's post, storage for all the different resources that we'll be using, and a whole load of builders' huts. And then finally we need a district crossing and a district center. We'll call this district H2O. I know, right? How original. And then we're ready to get to work actually building this. But before we can actually start, as you can see, a lot of our builders' huts aren't staffed. That's because we've now, once again, run out of bots. So I've gone ahead and unpaused our final bot assembly and paused most of our deep bad water pumps, as we don't need as much bad water as we're actually producing, at the moment anyway. So hopefully over time we can actually build our bot to fully staff all of these builders' huts, because I got a feeling it's going to be essential for this build. Now, the first place we're going to start, I'm going to need to clear a lot of this area and start building the dam. Now, the dam will be quite different than how I've done the rest of the dam because of what I've got planned. But another factor I have to take into account, there is a water source just here, and the dam wall will actually be where these levees are here. Now, if I destroy these levees, we're going to begin flooding the map, which is a bad thing, especially if I flood the farmland or the storage area. It's going to take a long time for it to actually dry up. Now, I could just wait for a drought to fix this, but then I'm on the clock and I have to get that done within a time limit, and I highly doubt I will. The other solution is to just blow a channel off the map somewhere around here, so then while we're working and building up this wall, the water is then getting off the map. So that is the solution to the problem. But we're a little ways off that just yet. I'll do that whilst I'm clearing the land and building the dam. So now we're in a good position to start, so there's nothing to do but hit play and let them get to work. Day 6 of cycle 206. And there's the first part of the dam complete, and we now have a nice clean slate down here on the lower level to start working on. And no doubt you have quite a lot of questions. For instance, what's this tower going to be? In the drainage system, why is the drainage starting to go the opposite direction from the edge of the map? And probably your biggest question is, why on earth are there dam blocks at the bottom of a mega dam? Now, these are all great questions that will be answered in time. Just be be patient. So what is next for the build? Well, this area here is actually going to be a pool. Doesn't look much like it at the moment, but trust me, it will be. Quite a lot of work is going to need to go into it. It's going to be 2 blocks high. We are still going to be running power and our tubeways around the outside, but the pool will actually be over the top of it. So we're going to have to run impermeable floors on top to cover it. And then on top of the pool, that's where obviously we're going to have our deep water pumps collecting water for the beaver colony. Now, as for the dam, there's quite a lot of work for this dam that we've got to do. It's not like the rest of the dam. As for what I've got planned in the center of the pool, I'm going to have to build a network of pumps, all doing different jobs. There'll be some that will be raising water up and into the mega dam itself, and then there'll be pumps actually pumping water into this tower. But I'll get more into that when the time actually comes. And on top of all of this, there's also another little secret, but I'm not going to tell you just yet. It's a secret. Our water switch over here is being built exactly the same way I do all of them. Inside, we've got sluice gates running one direction, which are set to release bad water off the edge of the map. And then on this side, obviously, it's the good water that goes down into this tunnel and then will travel onto the map. So now there's nothing left to do but hit play and let them get to work building the next section of the dam and start building this pool. Day 13 of cycle 208, and there is the dam complete. And I told you it was going to be quite different than the rest of the dam. Now, as you can see, there's actually a lot going on in this dam, but I'll hold off explaining what exactly I've done until after I've built our little monument in the middle of the pool here, as honestly, it will make it a hell of a lot easier to explain. This was a lot of fun trying to work out how to build it, using platforms and bridges. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. And as as per usual, the power just runs under the ground to the power network that wraps around through this outer channel here, which we've actually covered for the pool. Now I've left the front of the dam open so we can see the pumps, especially later on when they're running and there's water being pumped through them. I think it will look quite good and breaks up the dam a little bit. But if you don't like it, let me know in the comments. I can always fill in the front. So now it's time to do this monument in the middle, which, my word, this is a big episode. Between what I've got planned here and this bloody dam. And then there's still a surprise at the end I have to do. I don't think I'm going to get this episode out this week. So I'm going to stop gas bagging and just hit play and let them get to work building the monument. Day 4 of cycle 210. And there we go, that's the fountain now built. And I would have completed it quite a bit earlier, but I had a little bit of an issue that I had to overcome. But I'll get into that in just a moment, as I'll explain how this fountain actually works, or how it should anyway. So initially how the plan would work is fresh water would actually come out of this water source here, through a tunnel under the ground to this central tower. Now this central tower is connected to the central tower of the fountain. Then essentially what would happen is the water would flow all the way down through the fountain into the pool, and then when the water would raise to 1.6 high, it would overflow here into this channel here, to which these 6 pumps would then pick it up, put it into the next channel. Then the pumps in that channel would pump it up to the next channel, all the way to the top, filling up the dam. And then when we have all these deep water pumps sucking up water, and the pool level actually drops below what the actual fountain can support, we had 2 fail safes. One is this pumping system here that pumps directly out of the dam into a channel that runs down here to the central tower inside of the dam. The other failsafe is just a couple of sluice gates in the dam wall that connect into the pool, set to a height of 1.0. That way, no matter what, this pool would never run out of water, so then our beavers would never die of thirst. Now this is where I've made a mistake somewhere, because by all accounts, these 6 pumps should be more than enough to actually suck the water up into the dam, but it wasn't, and it started overflowing. So before I went and did anything, first thing I did, before it all got out of hand, I shut off the sluice gates to the freshwater inlet, which quickly stopped the flooding of this area. I then let everything settle, these pumps sucked some of the water out, opened up the sluice gates once again, and go figure, it overflowed. Now no doubt it probably wouldn't overflow if all these deep water pumps were actually helping keep the level down, but the moment that we're full up on water and these pumps stop, well then I'm going to have an issue. So I thought, bugger it, and I've gone in, I built some stairs down from here, I've closed off the inlet to the actual central tower, and then just punched a hole in the wall from the freshwater gate straight into the dam. So rather than the fresh water source feeding the fountain, it's feeding the dam, and then the fountain itself is being fed by these 2 pumps, which is more than enough to keep the fountain running, but these 2 pumps are not enough to keep the pool full. Luckily, we've got those sluice gates from the dam into the pool to keep it full. I don't know why I made it so complicated to begin with, but at the end of the day, it's working now. Probably didn't need to go to an extravagant amount of pumps that I did, but it's not like I'm short for power with this major power source still running. We've got a supply of 161,000, and with everything I've built so far, I'm only using 82,000 of it. It's bugger all. Sooner or later though, I am going to have to double up on this power source. But for the moment, we're nowhere near depleting our supply. So that's the water pumping area complete. Now I've put the district crossing on top of the dam and named the district Water Rats. I think that's a much better name than H2O. On top of all this, the fountain, which in my opinion is a monument on its own, also has a monument on top of it. The tribute to ingenuity. I think it's quite fitting. But guess what? The fountain isn't complete just yet. Looks a bit too plain, I would say. There's one more thing, as I mentioned before, that I've got to do. A little surprise that's going to take place over here. So for the last time this episode, let's hit play and let them get to work. Day 2 of cycle 211, and this little mini project is now complete. Essentially what I've done is enclose this bad water discharge, which when I open it, the bad water will have nowhere else to go but flow down into this channel here, which will then flow through a tunnel all the way to the edge of the map and then across the edge of the map. I've put it against the edge of the map so it's not in the way of any future projects. The bad water will then run down through this tunnel here, across and into the main tower of the water fountain. It will then flow either side of the fountain before landing in this gap here. There is one on the other side as well. There is then a tunnel that runs through the fountain to this side, so the bad water will travel through the fountain before dropping down into this little gap here, which is then connected to this tunnel, which then runs down this tunnel here before exiting off the map. So now let's open the bad water discharge. Fingers crossed I've done everything correctly. Now, in preparation for there being some sort of an incident, such as cross-contamination here at the fountain, especially when it first starts and it spits all over the place, good chance it is going to mix with our fresh water, which is a bit of a problem, but it's not the end of the world, because in preparation for this, I've actually created this little bad water filter. These two deep mechanical fluid pumps are set to only pump bad water. So essentially, all they do is they suck the bad water out of the dam and then pump it off the edge of the map. I've also gone through and set all the deep mechanical pumps that are actually supposed to be pumping fresh water to pump only fresh water. That way, if everything goes tits up, these two towers don't suffer, especially our food source. Fantastic. That's now the fountain officially complete. By the looks of things, the bad water isn't leaking anywhere, so our drainage seems to be working. For the moment, that is. Famous last words. I think it's quite a bit of a risk putting our most precious resource, fresh water, right next to bad water, where at any time, for any reason, it could contaminate it. But sometimes you gotta live a little. Plus, I really like that fountain. I think it looks great. And now we're ready for our next major project. Unfortunately though, that will have to wait for another episode, as this is all the time we have for today. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.